What is up, guys? So Avengers Endgame is coming out in a little over 2 weeks from now, and one thing that a couple people have asked me to do is go over my death predictions for this movie, because this is a movie that will definitely have a couple big deaths for characters, because if it doesn't, then all the deaths, which is half the universe in Avengers Infinity War, will all be kind of meaningless. The way I will do this is I will go over every single character that is on the poster for this movie, every character that is credited on that poster, because there are a lot of other characters that are appearing, but I don't really have the time to go over all of them, so I'm limiting myself to just the characters on the poster. The way I will do this is I will go through each one of them from least likely to die to most likely to die and give basically a percentage, the chances I think that they are going to die in the movie. So let's start with the first character. Captain Marvel has absolutely no chance of being killed off in this movie. For starters, she literally just had her own movie a couple months ago that actually made $1 billion, so there's no way that Marvel will be killing off a character that could hold a franchise like that so soon, especially, and maybe even not for a very long time. And on top of that, it's been said by Kevin Feige as well as a couple other people behind Marvel in the MCU that Captain Marvel will essentially be leading the Avengers into Phase 4, so there's absolutely zero chance that she will be killed off in this movie. Much like Captain Marvel, Black Widow does not have a large chance of being killed off in this movie at all. The main reason for that is because of the Black Widow movie that is coming out in, I believe, 2020. So the fact that she's appearing in that and she's starring her own movie then means that there's almost definitely no chance of her being killed off in this movie. The only way I could see this happening and Black Widow is killed off in Avengers Endgame is if the Black Widow movie that's coming out next year is actually a prequel and not set in the present day, and it's actually set in like probably before Iron Man 2, where Black Widow appeared, probably showing how she became a hero and how she used to be a Russian spy. I think that would definitely be a lot more interesting than a present day set Black Widow movie. So if that is happening and that is a prequel, then Black Widow might possibly die in Avengers Endgame, but I don't see them really doing a movie, even a prequel, for a character that is dead, so I think Black Widow has like a 3% chance of dying in Avengers Endgame. It's not 0 because it might be a prequel, but still 3 is basically nothing. Okoye definitely has a slightly higher chance than Captain Marvel and Black Widow of being killed off in this movie, but only because she doesn't really have a billion-dollar franchise that she's the star of, although she is a part of one, and also she doesn't have a movie coming up in Phase 4, or at least a confirmed one, although she most likely will be appearing in Black Panther 2, but the main reason I don't think she will be killed off is because it probably won't be very emotional, because nobody in this cast is really familiar with the character. Like, none of these characters has really spent that much time with Okoye, and I don't think it will hit very hard if she does die. Obviously, if Black Panther was there, or even if M'Baku was there, which I think he will be, then it will hit a little bit harder, but not enough for when Black Panther comes back for her not to be there. So I think that this is, if she does die ever in the future, this would definitely be the wrong time to do it, and that is why I don't really think Okoye will die. But considering the fact that she doesn't really have any confirmed things coming up, then I do think there's like maybe a 7% chance that she will die. I don't really see Ant-Man dying in this movie. I think that it will be a little bit weird if he does. No technical reason. It's not like there's a movie that's confirmed to appear, for him to appear in Phase 4. No Ant-Man 3 or Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 that's confirmed for Ant-Man. I just don't see Ant-Man dying in this movie. I think it will be a little bit weird. He's pretty new to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He hasn't really appeared all that much, and he's a pretty great character. It would be a waste to kill him off, and it probably won't feel right in the end. I feel like he will probably have a pretty major role on the Avengers in Phase 4, as he should, and on top of that, Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 or Ant-Man 3 will almost definitely be happening. And I think also if he does die and then the Wasp and Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne all come back and he's dead, it will probably feel a little bit weird. So I don't see Ant-Man dying in this movie, but since there's no technical thing to stop him from dying, and also it probably still will be pretty emotional because he is a character that a lot of people love, and he does have some sort of friendship and he has some past with the Avengers in this movie, so I think there's like a 16% chance he will be dying in this movie, but he doesn't really have a high chance of dying, but hopefully he does jump up Thanos' butt. If I had made this video just like a month ago, before it was confirmed that James Gunn would be returning for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I would say that Rocket and the rest of the Guardians probably have a higher chance of dying than they don't, just because of the actors of Guardians of the Galaxy kind of making it difficult on Marvel that they don't really want to do Guardians of the Galaxy anymore without James Gunn. Rightfully so, I think, but now that James Gunn has returned, it's pretty clear that all of the Guardians, like Drax and Groot, Star-Lord, and Gamora, maybe not Gamora because she is dead and she didn't die from the snap, but anyway, all of those characters probably will be returning for that movie, and I don't really see Rocket not returning. It's also been said that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is like the ending of the trilogy and the ending of the saga of the Guardians of the Galaxy, so it probably will be a little weird if not only Gamora, although I do think she will probably be there, but also Rocket won't be there either. That probably won't be happening, so Rocket almost definitely will not be dying in Avengers Endgame, and I think there's like a maybe 17% chance that he will. Although this movie will probably end a very large chapter for Thor, I don't see him dying in this movie. Either it would be a little bit of a waste because Thor just became a good character after Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity War. He's probably the most beloved character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point, and it's crazy to say that, but it seems like that is actually true. So if they kill him off in this movie, although it probably will be incredibly emotional and sad, it probably will also be a waste of a character that also the actor Chris Hemsworth, it doesn't seem like he wants to leave the role, unlike other certain actors that most likely their characters will be dying in this movie that I'll get to them later, but I think killing off Thor will be definitely a huge waste of a great character and the potential fourth movie for Thor because he literally just got his footing after Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity War. Everybody wants to see more of Thor, so I don't really see him dying in this movie, but still if he does die, it will be incredibly emotional and sad, so I think there's maybe a 21% chance that he will die. A lot of people would maybe assume that War Machine could take over the mantle of Iron Man after Tony Stark possibly loses his life in this movie, but honestly, I don't see that happening because Marvel typically would want a much younger actor to play these characters so that they can play them for a very long time, like a lot of the actors in this movie did, and the actor who plays James Rhodey is just as old as Robert Downey Jr., so that would not really make any sense, and it would be a takeover that definitely would not last very long, so I don't think War Machine would be taking over from Iron Man, and I think it is possible that he will also die in a possible fight against Thanos. I don't think there's a very high chance of him dying just because his death will definitely be overshadowed by a couple other characters' deaths, like characters that we'll go over in just a minute, but I do think there's a much higher chance of him dying than all the other characters I've gone over so far, so I think War Machine has maybe a 40% chance of death. I do think that the Hulk definitely has a pretty high chance of dying in this movie. I mean, I don't think that they can really do much else with the character after Endgame. He could definitely be a part of the Avengers, but his character arc, they can't really do anything else. It seems like that's concluding in Endgame, and they can't obviously make a Hulk movie at all, so I think that if they're going to kill him off, this definitely would be a good time to do so. They could just make him, depower him, make it so that Hulk dies, but not Bruce Banner, but I do think it's very possible that one of them, if not both of them, will be dying in this movie, so I think Hulk probably has maybe a 52% chance of dying in Endgame. So Iron Man is a character that you probably would expect to see a little bit higher in this list, and obviously I think that he has a pretty huge chance of dying in Endgame, but I also think he has a pretty big chance of not dying but just retiring as Iron Man, and kind of has been hinted at that he and Pepper will be having a child in this movie, which if true, then that will be a huge incentive for him to retire as Iron Man to just be a father, and I think that if they do that, then they could definitely get away with that, and obviously I think he has a huge chance of dying as well, but it honestly can go either way, so I think that Iron Man has a 67% chance of dying in this movie and a 33% chance of retiring. There's really no way that he will be continuing as Iron Man after this movie. I think that Endgame will probably be a pretty good time to kill off Hawkeye as a character who people expected to be killed off in Avengers Age of Ultron, just the second movie, and it was very surprising when he wasn't and Quicksilver was instead, but I do think this will be a good time to do so, just to sacrifice himself so that his family can live, and obviously the rest of the universe, but what's most important to him would be his family. I do think that would be a good time for the character to be killed off. I would like to see him in the future of the universe, and I would like to see all these TV shows that they're creating on Disney Plus. Hawkeye would definitely be a good one, but I also think this will be definitely a good time to kill him off. And I also think there is a pretty large chance that he will be. I think there's like maybe a 71% chance that Hawkeye will be biting the bullet. Nebula is so high in this list because of her connection to Thanos, the fact that she is the daughter of Thanos, much like Gamora, who is also the daughter of Thanos. Their connection to Thanos makes them very connected to obviously the main villain of these movies, but also just like the whole storyline of these movies, making them a little bit more likely to die. Obviously, Gamora did die, but I also think Nebula might possibly die as well. She doesn't necessarily need to be in the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and I think her connection to Thanos makes it very, very likely for her to die. I would say Nebula has a 78% chance of dying in this movie, and honestly, I'll be a little bit surprised if she doesn't. As the main villain of the second Avengers movie in a row, Thanos will almost definitely be dying in this movie because there's no real way that they can reverse everything that happened in Avengers Infinity War without either just convincing Thanos to reverse everything, which I honestly think is a possibility that might happen, but also what will most likely happen is that they kill Thanos and reverse everything except for the fact that Thanos died. It's very possible that since his huge popularity on the internet, people just love Thanos after Infinity War, that they might want to keep him around for the future just to possibly use him in any sort of way. But if they wanted to do that, they could definitely just bring him back from the dead. I honestly don't really see many reasons for him to not die in this movie, and considering that if he doesn't, there will be no real way for them to reverse everything, I think Thanos has a very, very high chance of dying, and he probably has like a 97% chance of death in this movie. And the character that I think will almost definitely be dying in this movie, the character who I think that will probably be the biggest death, the saddest death of this movie, is Captain America, aka Steve Rogers, with a 99% chance of death. The number one reason that it's basically confirmed that he will either die or retire or leave as Captain America or just leave the MCU is because Chris Evans said that this is his last movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least for a very long time, basically spoiling that he will not be returning after this movie, basically also spoiling that he probably will be dying in this movie, and I think that it will probably be very fitting for him to die in Avengers Endgame. I don't want him to die just because he is probably my favorite character in the universe, and I still want to see him afterwards, but his whole arc and his whole storyline and everything leading up to this movie, and the fact that Chris Evans is not returning after this one, it all shows that he will almost definitely be dying in Avengers Endgame, probably sacrificing his life to save the universe, and Bucky or Falcon or somebody else will probably take over as Captain America afterwards, but I think Captain America basically has a 100% chance of dying, but I'll give it like maybe a 99% chance, because there is that 1% chance that he won't die, but just retire. But what do you think? Do you think these characters will be surviving or maybe even dying in Avengers Endgame? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you're excited for Avengers Endgame, then leave a like on this video and make sure to check out my trailer breakdowns for Avengers Endgame as well. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.